Well, folks, it is the day after Super Bowl 59, and if you cannot tell just by the look on my face, I am thrilled. I am tickled pink because the Kansas City Chiefs did not pull off the three-peat last night. Philadelphia with the 40-22 win in Super Bowl 59. Patrick Mahomes looked pedestrian as ever, and the Chiefs were completely overmatched in this game. Taylor Swift was booed. Tom Brady had a super expensive watch on. The commercials were excellent. It's all here in the next half hour in the Terranadome with Josh Morris, who got the pick right, by the way. And that show begins now.
ELGLES Eagles! Let's go, Birds!
Terranadome. Minnesota was doomed from the start. I mean, this was a ass whooping. There's nothing short of that. It was a complete ass whooping. But I will tell you what, my friend, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. And it is time to get them back in the AFC Championship game. I believe that, listen, you're right about Derrick Henry, especially in cold weather. No one's going to want to tackle that guy. So it's going to be imperative for the Buffalo Bills to jump out early in this game and get a lead and force Lamar Jackson to have to play from behind. They can do that. They're going to win this game. Mention things that we love to hear, like we're getting the entitlement out of our team, and we're going to earn the opportunity to come into this building every day. I absolutely love that. One thing I will say for sure, yes, they definitely need to go and spend some friggin' money. They're going to have the most cap space in the league, and I'm going to kill them every week on this show until they spend money. The Terranadome, and it starts right now. Well, folks, it's the day after the Super Bowl. It's the Terranadome. And yeah, we're actually doing 2 episodes in 3 days. Can you believe that stuff? Josh Morris back on the show once again, and I got to congratulate you, my friend. You were dead on with your pick. Really, I can't give you that much credit, though, because all you did was go the opposite way that I did. So if I had just trusted my gut and went with Philly, because I'm the one that's going, oh, I think they're a better team, but yeah, the Chiefs are going to win. Well, I'm an idiot. So anyway, here, take your victory lap, bud.
I mean, it's a victory and a loss because I still had to watch the Eagles win, but I did get to watch Kansas City lose. So, but I don't think the tush push is going to get eliminated because they only ran it once.
I know, I couldn't believe, but here's the thing. Philadelphia is so dominant in this game, and folks, again, I mentioned it off the top, but the Philadelphia Eagles defeat the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22 in Super Bowl 59. They were so dominant that they only had to run that thing once. They only went for it on 4th down one time in the entire game, and it was the first drive of the game that they went for it on. Although I think that one got called back because there was a terrible pass interference.
It was a very soft OPI for sure.
Yes, and we thought because that was the first drive of the game, we figured that's going to set the tone for this game. Like, here we go again with the Chiefs and the refs, and that never actually ended up materializing, did it?
No, I wonder if like the refs were nervous, like the players would be. Like, you're refereeing a Super Bowl. They were a little quick on a couple flags because I thought the personal foul on, I think it was McDuffie, was a really bad call. Like, he barely touched Goddard. Didn't need to call that one. They called the OPI. So the first 2 penalties of the game I felt were kind of like, they're a little uptight, but then they really eased in, and the officiating wasn't bad at all.
No, it wasn't, and I was happy to see that. I was dreading having to come on here today and talk about the officiating, but we really don't have to. I will say that with that one that you're talking about, the second penalty of the game, the first one on the Chiefs was, I think, definitely a makeup call. Which you don't.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw it. I was like, yeah.
Like, you see makeup calls in like hockey and basketball all the time, but you don't usually see it in the NFL. So. But that had to be what it was because, those were 2 soft penalties. But really, I mean, there were a lot of flags, especially in the second half, but nothing that you could really point at and be like, oh, well, that's BS. So, I guess we got to give them credit, which, again, I did not expect. I did not expect we'd be talking about a blowout today. And you might say, oh, Scott, it was only an 18-point loss. Yeah, but Philly was up 34-0 in that game before Kansas City ever scored a point. That was a ass kicking, an ass whooping. That's what it was. And give the Philadelphia Eagles credit. They were the better team. And Josh, Kansas City had a good defensive game plan in this game.
Yeah, they held Saquon in check. Saquon did not really do much. He didn't do much at all. And we had talked about it. You have to make Jalen beat you. And at one point in the game, like Jalen threw that red zone interception, and you're kind of like, yep, like if you're Kansas City, you're happy with that. And but then he really dialed in. I mean, that throw he made when they went for the jugular after they got the ball off, I think it was turnover on downs. It was an absolute dime.
Jalen Hurts was very good in this game, for sure. And yeah, to your point, I can't believe that the line really 25 carries for 57 yards for Saquon Barkley. That is it. If you had told me that before the game, I would have said, well, Kansas City must have won by like 2 touchdowns, right? But not the case. Say Hurts proved himself on this night. He had the 11 carries for 72 yards. I know the touchdown was on the tush push, but still, Hurts played smart football. Yeah, you had the one mistake, but didn't make as many mistakes as the other team did. They win the turnover battle by 2. And something I'd like to point out, everybody has anointed Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes as like the 4 elite quarterbacks in the league. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is there, but Jalen Hurts has a ring before 3 of those guys do. So it's time to put some respect on the kid's name. You and I are guilty of this ourselves, but it's true that he's never really had to win a game for them. But for the second time in 3 years on the Super Bowl stage, he came up huge.
Yeah, I mean, the one what 2 years ago now. I mean, he played the best game of his career, and
Yes.
he just came up short. And then last night, I mean, he played almost a flawless game. That interception, like I looked at my dad and I was like, "Oh my God, you're in field goal range. That's a bad throw."
Yes.
But other than that, he only had I think 5 total incompletions. I mean, he played a flawless game.
He
You
was
not
seven,
counting the interception, you're
yeah,
saying?
he was 17 out of 21.
22.
Hmm.
Unless Fox's broadcast was wrong the entire game. They kept showing 17 for
17 out of
22.
20. 17 out of 22. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, so minus the interception, he only threw 4 other incompletions. So you can't really knock him for much. He ran the ball when he needed to. I think he only got sacked maybe once. So, I mean, played pretty much flawless football. Now, can he do it like a whole season like that? I mean, he got sacked twice.
He was sacked twice. I feel like those are kind of early on though. And yeah, I think as the game went along, Philadelphia won this game. I think really on the defensive side of the ball at the point of attack, and we talked about this. Their defensive line last night was so much better than Kansas City's offensive line was that Mahomes was running for his life for most of the game,
It
and
honestly looked a lot like the Tampa Bay game.
he did. It absolutely did. And he made mistakes that we haven't seen him make in a very long time. Um, the interception was on Hurts. You're right. That was a bad ball. Never should have threw that ball. But Mahomes just really, I mean, the overall box score ends up 21 out of 32 for 257 and 3 touchdowns. Like it doesn't look that bad, but those were all late touchdowns, like in the fourth quarter when this game was out of hand. He did not play well at all in this game.
No. And
Sacks,
even the throw he made on that fourth down where they were trying to come out of halftime and make a comeback, he misreads the coverage and he does. DeAndre Hopkins didn't even have a chance to catch that ball. It was underthrown. It gets tipped away, and then that's when Hurts goes for the jugular on the very next play, throws a bomb to Devontae Smith, and that's essentially the game.
yeah, pretty much, right, pretty much right there. Because even when they went into the locker room down 24 to nothing, people in the room that were with me were still saying, "Well, the Patriots came back down 28 to 3." And I'm saying this Chiefs team is not as good as that Patriots team was. They are not coming back down 24 points. And it really never was a contest. Mahomes was running for his life, though. My point about the defensive line play for the Philadelphia Eagles, he was hit 11 times and sacked 6 times, and he was under constant duress. And I'm sorry, this is the only way you could beat Tom Brady too back in the day. For the most part, is you had to get pressure up the middle on him, and that was the only way you could do it. That's what happened to Mahomes last night.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it never looked like he was comfortable in the pocket at all.
No. And just an outstanding job. I know that you had some concerns about, Vic Fangio's defense going up against that offense, but I'd say outside of Xavier Worthy, their skill position guys are pedestrian guys. Like they really need They were exposed in this game, frankly. I mean, they were down so quick early. Their running backs only totaled 10 carries in this game. So, I mean, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 10 carries in this game. Three for Hunt, three for Pacheco, one for P. Ryan.
And that
Xavier,
P Ryan one was in the fourth quarter during garbage time. Like,
exactly. Now, Xavier Worthy looks like a potential stud, and he definitely had a great game last night. I mean, most of the production was in garbage time, but still 8 for 157 and two scores. For him, he looks like a future real stud for them, but I think otherwise, this is a really aging. I mean, yeah, they're going to get Rashee Rice back, but they may lose him to suspension next year for his little hit and run down in Texas in the offseason. You've got old DeAndre Hopkins, who is clearly not the same guy that he was. I mean, he dropped an obvious one last night, and they needed to have it
yeah,
late.
you could see Chris Jones when he reacted to that, like, oh my, we needed that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's probably not what he said, but you're doing a good job of keeping it G-rated. You can be PG on this show, and every once in a while we sneak in a PG-13 word, but yeah, Chris Jones probably dropping some F-bombs. Certainly was not happy, and you could tell by the body language of that team last night, they knew they didn't have it.
Yeah,
And
you could tell they were defeated.
yeah, it's almost like it's just one of those things, right? Like let's go back to 2008 for a moment. I love, sorry, you see this. I'm gonna bring up something with the Patriots because I have to. Um, but the Patriots were worn down at the end of by the time they got to that game on that Sunday night, February. I forget whatever it was in 2008 after they had gone 18-0 to get to that point. You could tell they were spent. Like the media put all sorts of pressure on them. The Giants talked a bunch of junk to him through the media too, and it got to him. I wonder if that's an element with what happened with Kansas City last night, where it's like everyone's talking three-peat, 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 three-peat. What would you think if you were the first team to three-peat? What's your mindset knowing that you could three-peat? And it's like that's got to get in their head. It has to.
And I think we've said it almost every week I've been on, we've said it, like this team could be had. And I had
We
made the
did.
comment to you, like, you can only play so many close games before it catches up to you. Well, it caught up to you last night because these guys beat the brakes off you. It wasn't even a game, really. And that kind of, I mean, it was great to watch, and at the same time, it was kind of like, damn, like this
Yeah.
isn't fun to watch.
No, right, exactly. Like it won. Like I didn't really let that element get into my head too much last night. Like with the one that you just mentioned about how this game is really not a compelling product because it's a one-sided contest. But yeah, you're right, and I think that's a great point. That you you wait for basically if you want to go back to training camp, it's like a 7-month ordeal, right?
Mm.
And you this is what it comes down to, and you get this. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen much. But
I mean, like you said, 34-0 at
right.
one point.
It was
Like,
34 nothing before they ever
like
scored
I'm
a
thinking
point.
to myself, like, my dad looked at me. He was like, "Do they get skunked?" And I was like, "No, that's impossible." Like, it
Impossible.
looked like that. It looked like that could happen.
For a while it did. Yeah, it
They didn't
totally
even get over
totally did.
midfield until the end of the third quarter, I think.
Right, over the 50-yard line. That's right. Yeah.
That's
It's
just crazy.
I didn't there were a lot of scenarios that I thought could happen last night, but I didn't think that was one of them. I didn't think a Philly blowout was one of them.
Mm.
We sat here 2 days ago and said this is going to be competitive back and forth. There may be a feeling out period early on, and there was. But well, actually, no. Didn't Philly score on the first drive of the game?
No, they punted after that OPI, but then they scored on the very
The
next
next
possession.
drive where Dotson came up short of the 1 yard line, and that was when they
Push,
ran.
push.
Yeah, and it's like I really wish that they had run it a few more times so people could have had something to bitch about, but we didn't get that. The only thing it seems to me like people are complaining about today is the halftime show. I'm not touching that because for some reason it's super divisive and there's people are making it into a racial thing, and I'm not going there. Okay. I
I didn't
had
even
to,
watch it. I went home and tucked my kids in, and then went back to my dad's.
yeah, I went outside, had a cigarette, right? I come back in and I probably caught the last 2/3 of it. I didn't have any problem with it. I thought it was well done. Um, I'm not a big fan of I don't listen to rap music anymore really to begin with. I did in my teens and 20s. I mean, but he's obviously very talented. I mean, I don't
Mm.
see what the problem was. But a lot of people seem upset about it for some reason. You got to find something to bitch about, I guess. But maybe we should be thanking the Philadelphia Eagles because now we don't have to see Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift on the field. We
You
probably
know
would
what?
have
We
to have.
only saw Taylor Swift like twice in that
That's
entire game.
that's because that's how bad Kelce was in this
It
game.
was great. It was
It
glorious.
was awesome. And the first time we saw her, they obviously put her up on the Jumbotron and they booed the crap out of her.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. Yeah, Travis Kelce, 4 catches for 39 yards in this game. Josh, I think he's got to think he's got to it's at least got to enter his head that maybe he should think about walking away because in the last couple years, he's definitely lost a step or two. There's no denying that.
Yeah, I mean, I said it to my dad while we were watching at his first target of the game. He was wide open between five guys. And I looked at my dad and I was like, how does that happen? There are five Eagles around him and he's just sitting in the middle of all of them, wide open. I'm like, I don't know how he does it. He just always seems to get open. And he was open a couple times. Patrick missed him a couple low throws and stuff like that. But I mean, we've said it every week that we've watched them. He looks slow. He doesn't look like the other guys around him, skill player wise. Like he's not as fast. He's not a great blocker. So it's like you're getting to the point where you're not really a true tight end, right? So if you lose a step, how effective can you be? But I don't think he'll want to go out on that note.
Probably not. I mean, I think all the you can never put the hat on straight. I'd say my head's like just like an egg shape or something. But um, yeah, I don't think he'll want to go out like that. But I also don't think that without some real looking in the mirror stuff from them that they're not. I don't think they're primed to come back next year. I think there's going to be a new dog in the fight in the AFC next year. Um, yeah, I know. Should never count them out. It's just like,
Hey,
oh,
hey, Super Bowl hangover. It's real.
oh, for the team that loses the Super Bowl, it's definitely real.
It's real.
We know that for a fact. You know that for a fact because your team was in the Super Bowl last year,
6-11.
6-11, and granted, a ton of injuries and a lot of other bad
The
luck.
same thing happened in 2019.
Right. That's
And
right.
same thing happened to the Eagles the year before, right? They started 10-1, had this huge, demise, one and done in the playoffs. So it definitely is a real thing.
It's a real thing. It's definitely a real thing.
I'm
So
just saying there might be a new champion of the AFC West next year.
yeah, and I bet I know who you're going to say that is too.
I mean, maybe a clip right here, maybe something. Maybe I don't have to say it.
Josh,
Oh, you got to leave the suspense there.
oh yeah, that's just it. Yeah, I don't know. I think Denver and I think all three of those teams are going to be better next year.
Yeah, I think it'll be a dogfight for sure next year.
Definitely.
And again, this is what's great about football. There's going to be, I have a feeling this offseason is going to be insane.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some shakeup in the league for sure. And on that note, Josh, is there anything you want to actually cover about is there anything else you want to hit on with the actual Super Bowl game itself, or do you want to kind of get into a little bit of off-season teaser stuff? Because it will be a little while, probably about a month before we're talking about football again, because free agency will start the tampering period March 10th to March 12th, and then at 4 o'clock on March 12th is when free agency officially starts and players can sign with teams. So is there anything you want to kind of hit on over the next month and kind of leading into the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, so it just came out. The Niners gave Deebo Samuel permission to seek a trade. So that's going to be big for the Niners, especially if they can get rid of him and release some of that cap. I had mentioned it to you probably 6 weeks ago or so that they're going to have to cut him, right? He's lost a step, maybe two. The beating he's put on his body, he just wasn't the same guy this year. So I think he's 15.83 million dead cap this year. So if you can trade him, I don't care if it's for a fourth or fifth round. If you can get rid of that cap money and someone wants to take him off your hands, do it. Like you need to get rid of that and open up some cap room. You need to sign Brock Purdy. We're not doing this. Let's do it in training camp BS. No, get it out of the way as soon as possible. You don't want to piss this guy off. They're going to have to restructure some deals for sure. Aaron Rodgers, what do you think about that? I think Adam Schefter announced it yesterday. He's definitely not going back to the Jets. So are you hoping for that Brett Favre career arc? Is that
Of course I am. Yeah, that's exactly
so?
what I want. It doesn't make sense for Minnesota to do it at all, but I just want to see him do a full Brett Favre because that'd be friggin' hilarious if he did that. By the way, Debo, you are right. Was the dead cap hit, the cap hit this year 15.825 million. He's already had his contract voided for next year. It would have been 13.7 next year. I can tell you that there are going to be fans of my team in this market that are going to try and delude themselves and say that, oh, we should get Debo, man. Let's go get Debo.
They were actually listed as one of the partners.
Of course they are.
They said
They're going to
Pittsburgh,
be.
New England. I think Carolina was another one. So, and the Raiders. So those are the teams that they think most likely would try to grab him.
Yeah. I'd hate.
I think for your sake, I don't think you'd want him.
No, I would hate the move. I would because it doesn't accomplish anything. You need somebody more dynamic than that. And it's too bad how far he's fallen because he was a dynamic talent. I just think they beat the crap out of him using him as a running back all the time. I think you gotta have to kind of blame Kyle Shanahan a little bit for that. And he has never really been super durable, and that's kind of because of that as well. So I think for New England, you want your wide receiver room to get younger and you want it to be more explosive. You don't need another possession guy that has to make contested catches all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you hoping for someone like T. Higgins or?
See, I don't love T. Higgins, but if you're not gonna, yeah, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it, right? But he has soft tissue injuries a lot. Like he gets hammies all the time. He randomly pops up on injury reports on like Saturdays and misses games. And you're going to pay him at the top of the market. Now, granted, the cap number is going to come up, right? It's going to keep coming up. So in a couple years, it wouldn't look like a bad deal. So like, would I hate it? No. Do I think it's realistic? No. I think that they could throw the most money at him, just like the Ayuk situation. And he's going to be like, nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? That's what I think will happen. I think the Patriots are going to have a serious problem luring people here. That's despite the fact that they have a really good coaching staff that they've assembled, and they have a blossoming young quarterback that has all the potential in the world. I still think they're going to have a hard time getting people here to Massachusetts.
That's true. The tax thing is real for sure.
There's a millionaire's
tax that turn away because of it.
There's a millionaire's tax.
So who do you think they should target?
You know, man, you got to tell me some surprise guy's got to become available, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot's going to happen in the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, like George Pickens pops up in my head, but I know that I don't want that, right? Like
it's tough with receivers, man. They are divas.
He's uber. See, his talent is off the charts, but man, he's a rockhead. That kid. Like I just think that's a disaster waiting to happen. I personally would love it if they got like Ted McMillan in the draft, but the Patriots you can't draft receivers in the first round, and that's true. And
I don't think you're gonna miss on that kid though.
That's the thing. Like he just looks so dynamic. Like I think that's the kind of thing they need to do. I wonder how much influence Matt Groh and Elliott Wolf have over the draft, because that's going to determine where they go. I think that they will go probably boring, get a tackle or trade down or do something like that. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of guys that are going to become available. Like the free agency list's not impressive, right?
I haven't really looked at it.
For receivers.
I know you got Higgins, right? I think he's going to be a headliner. Sam D, of course. Now Aaron Rodgers is going to be up there.
I'm not interested in any of that crap.
So that from what I understand, that kid from the Eagles, that middle linebacker, he was just all pro. They signed him to a 1-year deal, so he's going to be a free agent this year. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Eagles do with their turnover going into next year. Devontae Smith still has 1 year on his rookie deal, correct? So I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic because you're paying AJ Brown.
Yeah, I'd love it if they just played for AJ Brown, but he kind of just won a Super Bowl and was a key part of winning a Super Bowl for that team. So I sort of doubt that they would do it. But the connection with him and Vrabel, that's dream scenario. They get AJ Brown for me.
Yeah, because I know Vrabel was really that was pretty much him. I think he checked out after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, did you know Aaron? So we got Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, all free agents.
Oh wow.
Javonte Williams, AJ Dillon. Let's see, why would I say AJ Dillon? I don't care. Stephon Diggs coming off the ACL. Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin. That's one I'd like. Chris Godwin,
Yeah,
gonna be
gruesome
29,
injury.
gonna be 29 years old. I know, but I don't know. You might be able to get him at he was making 20 million. You might be able to get him for half that with
Yeah,
because he's coming off that injury. That
and
could
he's
be
probably not going to
something.
be ready for the start of the year.
Probably not. Hollywood Brown's a free agent as well. Um, None of these are super exciting. But I mean, there's a few out there.
And that's another thing. You're also going to see people get cut once the
Right.
league starts, right?
Yep.
Or in June, or they'll get cut in March and designated as a June 1st. But I mean, you're going to have a lot of moving pieces over the next 4 or 5 weeks for sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's, we've thrown a few names out there. I'm going to keep talking about receivers with the Pats because that's just they can instantly improve. I mean, they need to be looking at all options for the offensive line as well, and they're going to have the most cap space in the league, so something needs to be done, or I'm going to be all over them like I'm all over the Red Sox all the time. They need to
Yeah,
do
no, I,
something.
I, I think you're right. You need skill players if you want this kid to grow. You know what I mean? You can't do it with what you got.
Absolutely not. Now, we've spent plenty of time talking about the Patriots here after we talked about again. This is the old Terranadome, and well, we already talked about Super Bowl 59. Now we're kind of talking about what we expect our individual teams to do here coming up in pending free agency going into the 2025 league year. Josh, 49ers have some things to address as well. You've already mentioned Deebo Samuel. What else do you expect them to do?
Uh, Dre Greenlaw, you need to sign him. You need to pay him. I think you're going to have to restructure Kittle and Fred Warner. Most likely, we'll see if they can get that done. Because I know you got a lot of cap tied up with them. Like I said, you got to sign Brock Purdy. Um, I'm trying to think. I'd love to see them go after Miles Garrett. Would love that, or possibly Joey Bosa, because there are rumors that LA is going to cut him. So you could probably get him.
Seems
Not a hometown, quote unquote, but the fact that his brother plays there might be a dream scenario for him.
yeah.
So we'll see that. They need a little more depth on the defensive line for sure, because as you just saw, defensive line is key if you want to make it deep in the playoffs. So they need to shore up the defense. I'm not really worried about the offense. Their offense is high skill player. They have high caliber opportunities in that offense the way it's schemed up. So I think you really need to focus on the defense this year and get that straightened out.
So it looks like they actually do have. I don't know
I
if
think
it's
they have 60 million in cap or like 56 or something like that.
Spotrac is showing me 50.3, but also that says the top 51 cap space, whatever that means. So you're probably closer to right on that.
Yeah, and but that you figure that's going to get tied up a lot with Brock Purdy
Yeah, you're right.
unless they completely backload his deal.
Do you think that they should give the bag to Brock Purdy?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, he's been to a Super Bowl. The kid can win with Shanahan. People will say, "Oh, he needs elite skill players." Like, I don't think he needs elite skill players, but he needs guys that can get open. Like the guys you had last year couldn't do it, and when he had his full complement, he was playing really well. So I think you need to shore up the offensive line because Trent Williams was injured all last year. Your right tackle has been abysmal since you let Mike McGlinchey walk a couple years ago and go to Denver. So I'd like them to see them to get a true starting right tackle. But other than that, I think Purdy's going to be just fine.
Fair enough. That's a good take. That's a good assessment by you there, my friend. Anything else you want to hit on with this one today? It's kind of a quick show, folks. We just did one the other night. So is there anything else you want to get to here on this post Super Bowl edition of the old Terranadome? Oh, by the way, folks, Josh wins the playoff pick'em this year. He was, yeah, he's doing that. I wish that you could see him doing that because I can't, just the way I have this thing set up, you can't see him doing it. But yeah, he got it done. So I think what we're gonna do is the show is his now. and we're gonna call it Morristown with the Terranadome, and that's how we're gonna do it from now on. So, folks, it's been a fun ride. But this is me signing off now, and this is gonna be Josh's show from now on. So I'm out. Good luck, Josh, and I'll come on whenever you want, but it's your show now, bud. What do you think of that?
I don't want that kind of responsibility.
Oh, yeah, with great power comes great responsibility, or
That's
whatever.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
well, but you got me. You did, and the Philly was the right pick all along. And for some reason, I deluded myself into thinking that the Chiefs could three-peat.
I don't think you deluded yourself. I think it's hard to bet it. I said it, what, 20 weeks ago, whatever, 22 weeks ago, when I said it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. It really is.
Yep, it is. He's the new villain. You know what I mean? And I don't think they're back next year, but I think they're going to be back before too long. And it's just because you're not going to keep that guy down for very long. So
No, they've done pretty well roster wise, so I think they'll find a way to restructure some guys, get some new blood in, and within a year or two, they'll be right back in the hunt. No pun intended.
yeah, no, hopefully with no Kareem Hunt, we don't need him beating any more women or anything like that. And piece of crap. Uh, Anything else you want to get to in this one, buddy? You want to wrap it up? We'll keep it short and sweet for once.
Yeah, I just to say I can't believe how quickly it's gone.
Oh, you mean this season?
Yeah, it really does feel like it just flew by.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on all these times, and I'm sending you guys a gift card in the mail for dinner sometime or something. I don't care if you don't go out. You're going out on dinner. You're going out to dinner. It's on me. So thank your wonderful wife for, and I can do this myself, but thank your wonderful wife for letting me steal you all these times for over the last 5 months. I'm not saying. I was just kidding about the Morristown thing, folks. It's still the Terranadome. Come on, dog. I'm not going anywhere, but you're not gonna disappear forever. You're still gonna be in, here and there.
I like that.
I still want you in the mix. When free agency starts, I'm definitely gonna have you on for that. I've already got a friend of mine named Ray that wants to come on if Gerard Mayo ends up suing the Patriots. He wants to come on and rip the crap out of Mayo. So that could be fun. I'll get the Mayo jersey out from the doorstop and I'll put it back on and we can talk about that. So it's been a lot of fun though, man. It's been a great season. And I'm sure obviously we'll talk soon. But yeah, thanks again. And do you have any other points you want to hit on here?
No, I think we can put football to rest and give us a little bit of time to decompress football for at least 4 or 5 weeks, and then of course it'll consume us for another month or whatever until the draft, and then maybe dive into baseball and basketball for a little bit.
Listen, believe me, I don't know how many people are going to be clamoring for baseball, but we'll actually be doing some Four Nations hockey talk eventually. I'm going to be tuning into that thing to see what that's all about. And then, yeah, basketball season goes on All-Star break. Then baseball season starts up. In fact, spring training's about to start here in the next week or two. Pitchers and catchers have already reported. So, yeah.
So don't worry, people. There are still sports that we can talk about.
Don't worry. The show is not disappearing. Probably see me again middle of the next week. Josh, again, I can't thank you enough for all the help this year, but really.
Oh, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And you will be back. You will be back, folks. Of course, my name is Scott. It's the old Terranadome. If you could please share, like, subscribe, leave comments. They don't have to be positive comments. I know you guys have been overwhelmingly positive in the comments, and I very much appreciate that. If you want to call me a fat turd or something like that, feel free. No sweat off my nuts, so don't worry about it, folks. I probably didn't need to say that, but anyway, yeah, and thanks for all the support, of course, as always. It's been a hell of a season, and yeah, it has flown by. So thank you all again. Josh, thank you again, my friend. We will see you back sometime next week on the Terranadome.